So how many episodes did you get out of that
I
one?
think I got 6.
Okay.
I think, and I think that was the finale. I think I did make it to the finale on that one.
That was the finale.
Yeah,
So
so
people.
everybody just had 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. There you
So
go.
it was a short season that, and I think because of that, it didn't really get a lot of love. Rank them, they would rank that one the lowest most of the time. It's just because it was short, but it was fun. I mean, we had a lot of fun. There was a pool party. The red pool party was kind of like the red wedding, where like there was just death and destruction, and yeah.
That's awesome, man. See, I think that was another reason I remember being like, this is really bad timing for me not to be able to miss a recording, let alone do it. Because you're tied to something.
Yeah.
I think it's you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just gonna basically, like, if you and I were tied together, it's like, yeah, I guess you're on your own. Like, and if somebody gets thrown into me, that's okay with things. And it's not, it doesn't make any sense anymore, you know? So, it was the right decision. It was just hard.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, we definitely missed you on that one.
I talked that to death, but it's over. And then season 4 comes along, which is limited now. And this one's thorough.
Yeah.
This one's just like you're dying the second they say go, because that clock is just this is one we just finished.
Yep.
And they in season 3 Double Life there was no boogeyman. But season 4 they brought boogeyman back.
Boogeyman back, because Boogeyman was a hit.
Boogeyman's a hit, and that was the lore on Reddit. Is that since I went out in like a significant blaze of glory in season 1 when I just stormed the castle, and I just went after you. I went after Green, and we got in a 2v1, and you guys overcame me, and there was like this really hectic moment. The Reddit post out there is tied to that's when the boogeyman was born. Goes through that bloodlust, and the reason it came from me is from that bloodlust. But the reason I never was boogeyman is because it's like the same matter occupying the same space. I think it can't be me. I'm going to be a Berkutooth, right? So it's like this external force. And then season 3, there's no boogeyman. There's also no Skids.
Yeah.
Season 4, boogeyman's back. So is Skids, and that's where the Reddit post came from. And I'm like, you know what? This is what you're talking about. It's super clever. Like that's not even like not one person has said anything about that.
Do. Ooh. She's at a birthday. Ain't got no way. She's sitting back. and think about the things that happened since that seems like here comes my baby. Here she comes now, and it comes as no surprise to me. It's another guy. Here comes my baby. Here she comes now, walking with a love that's all so fine and never to be mine. Here comes my baby. Here she comes now. Here I want to know, can you show Walking with a love that's all so fine, never to be mine. Here comes my baby. Here she comes now, and it comes as no surprise to me. It's with another guy, with another guy. Here comes my baby. Here she comes now, walking with a love that's all so fine, never to be mine. No matter how I try. Ooh, ooh. Do you know what if the root is not? It doesn't matter, but you know this is not a place to get into this. But I just think, what if the root is of the key from here? You know, we believe this. So comes from the key 3, not 5 or 9. Now, if this is the root, you have to explain what this is, and this can be a couple of things. This can be one of two things, basically. It can be it's major size. Hold on 1 second. Or try to, well, you know, if it's just a not the place. This is not the place to get into it because it's kind of a detail, but. There's the 5 limit major second. It's called 10-9. It's called 10-9 because that measures the distance. 10-9 is counts as 10-9 is 5. 10-9 is, we say 10-9 is 5 limit because you need 5 to get to 10. You don't need 5 to get to 9, you just need 3 to get to 9. But you need 5 to get to 10. You can't get to 10 without 5. You can get to 9 with just 3 times 3. So 9 is 3 limit. It has to do with prime numbers, right? But because prime numbers you can't reduce down to anything else. So prime numbers, they really are the numbers they're made of. Anyway, 10-9, it means, you have 10 of something, I have 9 of something. It means, oh, what the fuck, I don't really care about. And no, I'm sorry, I don't care about the point that I'm making right here. But yeah, no, I'm sorry. That's too much talking about the thing in the wrong time and place. But there's a reason. And it doesn't make a difference. Here comes my baby. She comes now. Walking with a love, oh so far. Never, no, but never to be mine, no matter how I try. Never to be mine. Walking with a love that's all so fine. And it's funny too, because the reason it's funny is because there's right answers, but there's no right answers. There's good answers, but there's no easy answer. You say, well, that's just what it is right there. You can't change that. And if you can't change that, then it's does that mean it's good enough, right? I don't know, because if you can't change that, does that mean it's good enough? Yes, that's not really a question. If you can't change that, then I guess it's good enough. Where does it go? How do you make that not sound annoying when you play? When does that sound annoying? When does that sound annoying? If you lean into it, it actually kind of is hard to find. That's a little annoying. That's also kind of like a little annoying. That's kind of stupid. And obviously that note gets kind of tired. Here comes my baby. Here she comes now. And it comes as no surprise to me. It's with another guy. Here comes my baby. Here she comes now. Walking with a love. Walking. But here's the thing about 10-9. 9-10 major second. It's not the basic kind. It's not the strongest kind, but it's the sweetest. Because the strong major second really says. And that is the strong major second. If you feel kind of silly from talking, then you feel kind of silly from talking. We're moving on. And if you feel kind of silly for whatever you say, maybe you just feel silly about what you gotta say. And if you feel kind of silly about what you say, maybe you're just kind of silly anyway. Maybe you're just silly anyway. Maybe you're just silly, 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 to swallow. Because you want to recognize things. And when you feel, or when you want to recognize things, and when two things appear to be the same, but are different, it feels like Pavlov's laws. Meaningful decisions to do anything. And you get used to identities being stable. You get used to because identities are stable. So that's not exactly. You get used to the identities that everybody is used to. And there's right away, there is an inherent feeling of, well, this is good enough for everyone. Everybody, this is already good enough. You'd better not rock the boat. You'd better not rock the boat as a subject that comes up. But especially when something works, if it's good enough, then it's good enough. Like I'm thinking this, I'm trying not to lose track of how this applies in a real way. But I'm thinking about the major second, the second scale degree, and is that 5 limit or 3 limit? Is it coming from the root? Is it coming from the fifth of the? Is it coming root 3, 9? Or is it coming from there? That's an easy way to say it. Is it? What? I don't see it. Do you see it? You want to go outside? I'm going to close the window. Because basically there's one level where we want to say 1 + 1 is 2. Here's 1, here's 2, here's 3. They're the same distance. And then there's another level where we want to say, well, let's keep some of our own perspective. Let's keep some real perspective. So the difference between 1 and 2 is different, is way different from the difference between 2 and 3. Because as you increase, let's include logarithmic rise. Well, because you go higher, as you keep adding, basically it gets easier to add, right? So to get from step one to step two is a big step. To get from step 0 to step 1 is infinite. To get from step 0 to step 1 is a whole new is an entire change. To get from step 1 to step 2 is monumental. What is it? I don't know what it is. To get from step 1 to step 2 is a huge something. And to get from step 2 to step 3 after that is huge still, but we know what it is. And then to get from step 3 to step 4, step 4 to step 5, well, as we keep going, the same distance, we can admit that it feels smaller. So let's say that, right? Just like 8, 9, 10. 8, 9 is a little bigger than 9, 10. The difference between 9 and 8. What's the difference between 9 and 8? Do we want to call it 9 minus 8? Well, that's basically the meaning of subtraction versus division. They're both ways of narrowing down the number. 9 minus 8, 10 minus 9, same thing. 9 divided by 8, 10 divided by 9. Paints some more detail, just because they're still really similar, but a little bit, it's just small difference. So we say 10, 9, 8, okay. 10, 9, 8, I can feel that. It feels a little bit more detailed. So that's our second idea about proportions. Our first idea about proportions, and I'm talking about playing a scale as a musician, especially learning about fine tuning. I guess it's what I'm trying to say is our first I don't know. I'm kind of speaking for myself. I'm kind of speaking as well, I don't know. The first thing we see it like a grid where everything is the same distance, and that's what our instruments tell us to. The second step is seeing it like a grid that's changing as it moves, so that it becomes something, so that it's measures more fine, and it's something fluid. It's something that is fluid, and we can latch onto that. But from there, it's uncomfortable to think that, what if we force the grid back into this thing that we had that was a grid, and then it was not a grid, and then now what if we try to force that grid back in? But the real truth is that grid takes shape inside the fluid, because the fluid is the whole thing that the grid is not accepting, right? The grid is not accepting. That's why it is not a fine measurement. You can cut the grid into smaller pieces, but then if you look at those smaller pieces, it's a grid. into the fluid, it actually fits. There's the shape is accepted. The shape of the grid is accepted, even though there's this whole story about breaking out. Breaking out the grid. When you put the grid back on, it's not uncomfortable. And that's kind of a little mind trick. It's tricky. To be okay with that. Because the grid is part of the fluid. Fluid is not part of the grid because the grid is not really as fine. The grid is missing a lot. The grid is missing something. The fluid is not missing something. But you put the grid back on top, and it fits. So that means you can actually, and it's not something, replaces the grid. The grid still exists like it is. Or like it was, or like how it was. So I'm thinking, to put it in real terms, of like 9/8 is a consonant major second. What do you mean consonant? I mean 9/8 is a major second that fits with the tradition of twelve tone equal temperament. It's also consonant because it's 3 limit, and 3 limit is it's one of the most one of the strongest intervals. Like the octave, like the fifth, you have the ninth. I meant fifth, like the third, the three limit, the third partial. But there's also this not comparable thing, like, I get tired of talking about this. I'm really glad to think about it and to have it basically at hand, but I get tired talking about it because I don't know if it's worth it to talk. And I can hear it now, and it doesn't feel worth the time. I'm gonna eat an apple. I want this apple. I want this apple. I don't know why. I don't know if this is an attractive decision. I know this is an unattractive decision. But I don't feel afraid of I mean, I do feel afraid of showing you poop because I'm picking up poop with a paper towel. I'm afraid to show you because you shouldn't have to look at it. You might not want to look at it. I'm afraid to show you because you might not want to look at it. Language is funny because when you say what you mean, you could be more specific. And if you say just enough of what you mean, it might be open to interpretation, not specific enough to be perfect, but be good enough. And if what you say is good enough, should I spray it? I think that is the spot. I should spray it because I think that is the spot. It can be hard to... No, it can be easy to give up small victories or small decisions, things that you think that you ought to do. It can be easy to give those up. Because you won't face consequences. Like, I won't face any consequences for not, if I don't find the spray. If I don't get the spray, I won't face any consequences for not spraying that with floor cleaner. After wiping it up. The only consequences would be if you accidentally step on it on the spot with your bare feet, but you wouldn't notice, but it would still happen. So, this cat and this dog, like that. But consequences are worth thinking about. Even when they're not important enough to make a difference. Because it's just a chance to, hi, young puppies. Young puppies, hi. Oh, I have peanut butter. In a bowl. But this is good for you. Peanut butter is good for you. I don't know if I want to give you the peanut butter. But it's good for you. But I also want some. I don't know how much to give it to you. Not really because we're going to run out, but because, I don't know, there's also this feeling, behavioral issue, that Well, if you give it to them now, they're going to always expect it. They're going to always want some peanut butter. And there's some truth there, but it's hard to see what it is unless you just want to make a firm decision. Because if you decide to make a firm decision and about saying, well, you can't have any and that's that, there's a certain, that gives you some relief as the one making the decision, because to keep thinking about it is going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult for, you don't know how long. Like, when should you give the dogs peanut butter? When they want it? Well, what if you give it to them whenever they want it and they're happy and they just live happy and you live happy, and if you can't afford any more peanut butter, then you don't buy any more, and then that is how that regulates. You know, what if that's just the way it works? That's easy. That's easy. That feels good. Because you're never saying no to the coordinated and elegant doggies who are so good. And you're never stressing them out with the thing that they want. And you're never stressing yourself. You're never stressing them out with your decisions about when or when not. You're never putting them in danger by the because let's say I make a decision that, okay, well, you can have it now because here's just some. Okay, great. That's fine in terms of how much peanut butter they get, because it made a decision and said, well, here's an amount that, you know, and we're going to stick to that amount. Well, that's great, but now if there's a second consequence that wasn't part of your decision, like the knife is sharp, then that's a consequence. You know, that's your consequence, even though you didn't think that part through. That's still your consequence, right? Even though you did a good thing, and the good thing overshadows the bad thing, still, that is your consequence. And the dog just jumped on the counter because she can reach the peanut butter. It's kind of dangerous if she jumps on the counter because it's not really built with her in mind to do it, like to jump on that. And also, you can notice the counter is near the stove. And she jumps up on the stove is lit. That's dangerous. So, do you authority your dogs and say don't jump on the, you know what, like, it's like this potato business, decision after decision. It's hard to make all those decisions. I don't know what that is. I think it's egg. But I really feel these dogs begging for peanut butter. And I really feel that they want peanut butter, and they don't have the power to get it themselves. But I have the power to get it for them, and I see that they want it. So, I mean, it's just like, this being responsible for them and how they interact with each other is kind of exhausting because, like, I don't know, maybe we just fed them 2 tubs of peanut butter, each of them. They would have some and then they'd get sick of it and eat too much, and then they get tired of it, and then they'd regulate themselves and they wouldn't want peanut butter. I don't know. Maybe you just never give them peanut butter and they regulate their expectations about what they're going to get, but that seems evil. Because they're so cute. Because they're so cute. I always feel kind of evil calling them so cute, especially like if they're like wanting something, or if they're not happy, and then calling them so cute. Like if they're begging and you call them so cute, that feels
As a black and white question, right? This is from, I don't know, it's
like
AMTJP space It's service we provide. It says
an intentional thing to do that you shouldn't be
that's a good question.
letting yourself get away with. And they have like real instincts, I would call it, because like I don't know. It's hard to say because like, are they born knowing the difference between the cat, like how and how not to hurt the cat, for example?
Informative, educational, you can make videos that are inspiring or curious or
I mean, lots of times dogs do like kill other pets by accident.
on top of any of the other genres.
But why does that happen? You know, is it
Trying to be at least
or a different question would be, what stops that from happening?
16. It was
Um,
very dry, and I tried to just,
if you're, you know, the owner and you don't want that
and then
to happen,
it took a while. And this
what's the best way that you have to stop it? Because maybe you're like a holistic gardener or whatever, and what you do is you raise your dogs and cats next to each other, and the dog basically thinks it is a cat, and the cat basically thinks it is a dog or whatever. And they just like they eat together and they sit together. Because these two dogs seem to, I don't know. Like if you're a holistic whatever, you know, maybe you just sleep with your dogs and your dogs sleep together.
Comparison is the thief of joy. We can talk about that on the show, but it doesn't hurt to set a bar, find somebody to set a
Like that hurt my face,
try to get there, Like,
but also,
like what Mumbo and Green and all that accomplished. Because
what, do I have a right to never have my face hurt? I don't know, because like if I have a right to never have my face hurt, then maybe I can just treat my dog.
the actual very first time you and I.
Maybe I can treat my dog poorly. I don't want to say that because like your dog, I don't know. It seems wrong if the power dynamic always goes in one direction. Like, it seems wrong if you dictate what your dog does or whatever, what happens to your dog, and your dog doesn't dictate anything about itself, and your dog doesn't dictate anything about you. Like, if Sandy's never in a position of power over me, like she is pawing me in the face, then she could never express her own authority. Now, is it important for a dog or an animal to express its own authority? I mean, it won't die if it doesn't. It's not. If it is important, how do you qualify importance? It's not. I mean, will it affect the dog's health? Maybe. Like, if you live in a house where your opinions don't matter, you're gonna have. You're gonna be affected psychologically, and that effect is gonna impact your life, and your life is gonna impact your health.
And tell that guy, like, your job is going to be an entertainer? I don't know, laugh in your face. I can help people anywhere, you know, and I still struggle with it. And if I meet someone new, it's always hard for me to, and I try to relate, like, you guys, it's easy, because I can relate to you guys, right? We share, we are the same, you know, but average Joe or Susie on the street, I struggle with that, so, you know, it's tough.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, and so you got to imagine, 10 years ago, what's 10 years from now? Who knows?
This thing where they're talking to Tango, our TV is one of our TVs is broken. The one that's playing is actually the one that's broken, but it's because the cable is not playing sound. But this isn't cable, so the main TV works fine for YouTube. I'm supposed to fix that today, right now, basically. Just supposed to be fixing that. Come with me,
You know, it's just like, I'm glad where I was wrong.
and you'll be informed about my cable TV. What's plugged in? What's plugged in? Is it how it should be?
This is ridiculous. It's actually, I watch your videos, I'm entertained, and I'm a little pissed off. Because
Oh my god! In the winter, if any. But basically, especially in the winter, like if anything gets stressful, I have this thing where like my skin's really dry, and so like if I start to sweat, it just gets all itchy on my wherever over my shoulders or my back.
And I know which ones are natural and which ones aren't. You're absolutely a natural. Well, I think.
So like dog bark, I get itchy, kind of. But it's just like you also don't have to shower every day in the winter because your skin's gonna get dry.
Found a way to
Your skin is gonna get dry, and if you don't complain about it, it's gonna keep getting dry. It's kind of my idea right now. If you don't complain about it, it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse. If you don't complain about it, you're gonna die. Basically, is the idea. That is the idea. If you don't complain about it, you will die. If you don't complain about it, you'll die. And you complain about it so that you can do something about it.
There was a moment, right when it was kind of at its peak, I put out like 4 or 5 of those, and I mean,
I don't know what the TV has to do. I don't know what the TV has to do.
one video.
So the other option, I like the other response that I have got to.
This is a crossroads. It was very much a crossroads for my channel. I probably talked to you.
Getting itchy is like, I just want to take off all the like clothes, because the clothes are itchy. The clothes are itchy, and if you don't complain about it, you will die. It's true. If you don't complain about it, you will die. This is the message. This is my message. If you don't complain about it, you die. If you don't complain about it right now, you'll die. So some people don't complain. Or some people, I don't complain about work, but then I'll complain about whatever. Complain about the peanut butter. Because I can't complain about my job, because I can't complain about that. I'll die if I complain about my job. No. You'll die if you do not. You'll die if you don't complain. You complain. Oh, I'm going to throw my voice out if I complain. If I yell, I'm going to go, ooh, ooh. And then my voice is not going to work the next day. No, you go, eh. It's easy to do. And your voice will be fine. And your voice will be fine. And your voice will be fine. I'm complaining about the weather. I'm complaining about the decorations. I'm complaining about my complexion. I'm complaining to you. And that's the thing, too. You got to complain right in their face. You got to say it's you. That's how you do it. There was this guy on John Oliver, and I was watching it yesterday, and one guy was saying, I don't know, whatever it was about mental health crisis in America. And the guy was saying, oh, if the kid were not in the hospital, if the kid were in the hospital longer, I'd fail to see how that would make a difference on his outcome. And the guy interviewing said, said right away, well, the parents, I'm sure, would say that if he were in the hospital, he wouldn't killing himself. And they stopped the show, and John Oliver said, oh, or something like, oh, wow, that was, wow. I wonder if he went to that interview, if he woke up that day and said, gee, today's the day that I'm going to get my guts ran through on live network television or something like that. So that's the trick, is complain right in their face. Just hold no bar. Hold no bars. I don't know what that means, but you just like no holds bar. What is that? I don't know. Maybe it's a fighting reference. Yeah, complain right in the face of whoever is there bugging you. I had a dream, and in the dream I was in the car, and the person in the dream was saying, I don't know what. It was a metaphorical dream, but someone in this car with me was saying, "You're such a disappointing." What I was saying, "You're so disappointing to me," and I said, "I don't care. I'm tired of hearing this," and that's what I said in the dream. And it was a weird dream. I hadn't had one like that before. And usually dreams are telling you things that are subtle or they have some meaning that you can interpret. Dreams are not, don't have to be literal, but they should be easy to interpret. I mean, dreams are for you to interpret. A person can't interpret your dreams that you have, right? That's a good thing about dreams. But yeah, get right in their face, complain where you want to, complain where it gets deserved. And if you're complaining in the face, then then you're entitled, right? That's how we determine. That's how it gets determined that that complaint is deserved. It needs to be put there. I don't know. Yeah, you have a right to complain, implicit in every little thing that you do, whenever. If you ever oblige not to complain, do you do yourself a disservice? That's a question. If you ever oblige not to complain, is it a disservice? I'm not sure right now. Someone you're complaining to can always walk away. Annie? Annie's complaining. Annie is complaining. I'm complaining, Annie's complaining. It's great. It's all good. I mean, it's not great if you ignore it. I mean, geez, but you can't really ignore yourself complaining. If you do it with enough veracity, if you complain about something that, I mean, here's the thing. You can complain at the wrong times, but that only happens for the result of I mean, I'm just going to turn this whole freaking switch off so there's no TV. And I think, like, is this plugged into anything? This is, I mean, there's two boxes here. I don't know what they do. Yeah, see, there's 2 boxes here. I don't know what they do. I mean, what I can do is take out all the connections, which is basically, I'm just going to say that means the same thing as unplugging everything and plugging it back in, which I'm basically going to say is the same thing as cutting power to the whole, to this whole side of the room, cutting power to that strip, and then putting it back, turning it back on. And now, hey, whatever. This is unplugged. That's great. I'm gonna turn this TV on, see if it works. I'm gonna turn the cable on and see if it works. Cable looks like it's not plugged in or something. See, but like, what are these? What are the 2 boxes? That's a DVD player. This is a VCR player, and that's a cable box. What does the cable box do? I don't know. Like, I find this tiring, but that's because I don't care about having these things. And if I wanted to have a TV with cable that worked, I would have to learn how to set it up. For myself. But I don't care about this TV. We're loading the interactive programming guide in a few minutes. You'll be browsing your favorite shows and exploring interactivity. Like, I don't know, when you like when you do favors for anyone else, I think it's fair to say your boundaries just get less clear. Okay, but it's fixed. I'm glad, because what I was expecting to have to do was unplug everything slash cut power to the whole strip, and then turn everything off and then back on again. And thankfully that's what I did. I wouldn't have minded doing that last night, but you know, when you're mixing priorities with anyone, you're kind of doing everybody disservices. I think if you're mixing priorities with other people, then you're going to go wrong. So the TV is fixed. The other thing on my list today that says for Chris to do, it's from my mom, who I love, says cook chicken. So that's the other thing that I have today to do. It's not that I must do it, as in have to. I think it means, I think when you say you have to do something means you must. But when you have something to do, it means you have the intention of it. You know? I have the thing to do. What do I have to do? What do I have to do? You know, the clearer your intentions, slip sliding away. You know, the nearer your destination, the more you're slip sliding away. So I'm glad we have cable. I'm glad the cable has sound. I'm glad because it involved what I expected it to. And if it didn't, then we'd be in a different situation. I mean, it's like it's a sticky wicket also, because like, let's say someone asks you to do something versus someone expects you to do something. Say someone expects you to do something that you don't have any motivation in, you're going to be straining yourself to fit your motivation to that end. Let's say someone asks you to do something, it's a totally different situation. Why is it a totally different situation? Not because anybody's intentions are any different, but because the recognition is shared. And you don't have this weird under the table, like, well, the deal was this. We said the deal was this, right? Well, okay, well, yeah, well, I didn't do it. So don't, you know. Well, I said I was going to do this, and if you don't do this, then I'm good. That's already ultimately, that's like already like not having leverage. Because, you know, if you go to the store and you check out and your card declines or something, the person says, oh, I'm sorry, your card declined. We can't. Or on the other side, the person says, oh no, my card declined. I better go home. The person doesn't say, no, wait, no. Back to the person behind the counter. Person says, your card declined. I'm sorry, we can't make this purchase. Basically, the only reason they're talking to you at that point is so that you don't cause a fight or something, like so that everyone understands is on the same page. What they don't say is, well, if you don't give us this money, then I guess you're not going to get your alcohol. I pictured it at checking out to buy alcohol. I don't know why. I don't know. I went to the liquor store like a month ago, and I did not have my ID, and I was really proud of myself because I realized when I was in the store, I was like, oh, I only brought cash. Because I was like, I won't bring, my card. I have cash. Just put it in my pocket, walk out the door. It's like a fun thing. Like, well, I'm walking out without my wallet. I'm just like, or something. And I go there and I get the cash in my pocket. And I'm like, okay. So I'm walking through in the middle of the store, and I realize, oh, stupid. My wallet has my ID in it. That's the other thing you need to buy alcohol. That's the thing you need to buy alcohol specifically. If you go and get something from the pet store, it's like, okay, walk in with good old fashioned cash and nothing else, no cell phone, no wallet, and nothing. Then okay, cool. That's fun idea. But anyway, so I was in the store and I realized I didn't have my wallet. And I was like, I've never done this before. How do you act and it was tough because it was like, well, if you set the intention to act like you don't need them to card you, like, I mean, if you act guilty, then they're gonna smell something, they're gonna card you. And if you like are trying not to act guilty and then they smell that, then they're gonna card you because it it's like, I've got a bushy face, but that doesn't mean, and it's the middle of the day, I'm in my pajamas, but that I could still just be like 17 or 18 or whatever. And it's the middle of the day. Like, lots of things probably let them put together that I was not in high school. But also because, like, I kind of just looked shitty. And if you look shitty, then, kind of easy to detect, like, oh, this guy lives alone or something. I don't. But that's the image anyway. But yeah, liquor store, big story. I went to the liquor store about a month ago, and I was really happy because, like, I knew I needed them not to card me, and I set that intention, and then I tailored basically how I acted in the checkout line at the checkout counter to fit with that, and it actually worked in a positive direction. Like, like I was like, okay, well, and all that means is I've got to make eye contact with the counter, and I've got to speak to them directly, and I've got to basically be on my toes, whatever they say, because I'm so used to just going into the liquor store, in Boston or wherever, and you go in and, like, I feel kind of weird going through, and I'm like, I feel weird buying anything because, like, I feel like I'm inconveniencing whoever's behind the counter because it's their job to do whatever. And someone will say, well, like, oh, don't be ridiculous. Like, you're not inconveniencing someone just from buying something from them. But I'd say no. I'd say be sensitive to that. If you feel unnatural, or you have some kind of, like, not comfortable feeling purchasing something, what does that say about, purchasing? It's like, this isn't, what doesn't feel weird? Breathing. Maybe you say breathing and you go, oh, now I'm thinking about breathing. But the more you do it, the more natural it feels. I mean, someone could say that about buying stuff too. The more you buy stuff, the more natural it feels. So maybe breathing is not different from purchasing something just because one or the one of those, just because it could make you uncomfortable to buy something. I don't know. But yeah, like I always go in the store, and I'm like, oh, what liquor do I pick out? How do I look cool? How do I look like I'm not trying to look cool? I don't really think how do I look cool, but I think like how do I look relaxed? Like how do I not look like a dweeb or whatever? Oh, Kitty, I'm sorry, Kitty. I feel like a cat could jump down from there. And I feel like a dog is not going to try to walk over this. It looks very insecure, but if it works, I don't think it's bad if it looks insecure. I know, man. I don't know the words, but that's the 10-9. Ooh, then that's the sweet major second. Ooh, that's the 9-8. It's the strong major second. Ooh, that's the sweet one. That's the 10-9. Ooh, because that's the 9th partial. You, that's the 10th partial. You, that's 10-9-8. You, because the distance between 9 and 10 is a little smaller than the distance between 8 and 9. They're similar. I know man became a wife. These are the very words she uses to describe her life. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Do 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 do. She said, good day, ain't got no rain. Rain. She said, now the 9 partial is actually kind of not as easy to find as the 5th or the 3rd. She's looking at squirrels. She's not looking at squirrels. She's gaming. say, sure, there's a difference between 10-9 and 9-8. 10-9. If you don't fudge it. Sure, they sound different, but they're in different places. If you want to compare the size, you need to put them in the same place. You need to have some point of reference. Okay, which one is the point of reference? Is it the higher or is it the top note or the bottom note? Because if you're talking about an interval, you're talking about the distance between two notes. If you say one interval and another interval are different sizes, and you say you want to compare them directly without a point of reference, which one do you pick? Do you pick the top or the bottom? Well, it doesn't matter. Well, you have to pick one. It's 6 dozen of one or half of 12 dozen of the other. And you might say that doesn't make a difference. Anyway, you have to pick. This is a really interesting thing to pull out. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. It doesn't make a difference, but you still have to choose. How do you make a choice between 6 dozen of one or a half dozen of the other? The only way to make the choice is interesting. A big way to do it is to defer to whoever is at hand. So lots of times when we're humans coming together, we just have opportunities to defer to each other at hand. People call partners primary relationships. I don't know, people also call family members primary relationships, but they're primary relationships. Primary relationships, relationships that define you. Your relationship is an interval. It's between two people. And you pick up one side and you say it doesn't have any meaning without the other. That's how you define yourself from your relationships. Let's say one relationship looms heavy, and it's the big one. How does it feel to have that? If it's there, it probably never feels good. If you consider you could have you could be defined from not just one relationship, not just one primary relationship. I don't know. You also get to choose your primary relationships. But if whoever's choosing those relationships, so you really, if they're So things never stay stable. So things never stay stable. Talking about it doesn't actually damage it. And that's like the grid on the curve. Isn't that funny? Like if you're coming from the grid and you just get down with the curve, then you're gonna accidentally keep that attitude of saying, well, the grid needs to be turned into a curve. But you're gonna be missing out on parts of the curve. So I'm saying this. If it's if your E is always going to be tuned by comparing B's, then it's different than comparing D's. And the economist wants to say one of those is better in all cases. I don't know why the economist is here, but and hey, if you're comparing D's, which D's are you comparing? Because, hey, just by, FYI. That's sitting pretty tight. You know. You take your hand off of one place and you put it somewhere else. If you can take your attention off of one place and put it on another, then you can tune carefully enough to make sense.